maybe with an infusion of home energy here with a great crowd on hand, they can stay consistent offensively for 40 minutes.
Of course, both teams are excited about the ACC tournament, but we have to stay in the moment because we are here on a Thursday. Both teams needing this win for their individual moments as we go to tip-off. And there we have it. Wake Forest wins the tip tonight. Senior Kaya Harrison starting the offense for Wake Forest, and this is something that we've seen from Wake Forest. They want to make sure that they control the game and play at their own pace.
That's right. That was a good look. That's what they want to spray the basketball around. Open looks from three. They've got the green light. Not able to knock that first one down.
Florida State starting lineup. Tanaya Latson, we talked about her. 00. Jasmine Massengill. Sarah Bajetti, you'll be hearing a lot about her. And also you have
Aaron
Howard and Michaela Timpson, as we have a 3 early for the Seminoles. Kaya Harrison, the senior. Elise Williams also, and Jewel Spear. She's the star for Wake Forest. We'll be talking about her later. Olivia Somiel, along with Demira Hines for Wake Forest.
Big part of the story. The first time these teams matched up, Chris, was how great of a job Bajetti did on defense, defending Spear all over the court, whether she had the ball or not.
Spear only had 11 points in that matchup as, look at that big putback by KK Timpson. She missed it, got the rebound, put it right back. That's what makes her so dangerous in the paint.
It does, especially in a game like this where she's got, a market size advantage. Demira Hines does yeoman's work down there for Wake Forest, but she simply doesn't have the size of a KK Timpson.
We have a foul called on the floor. So we get a good look at the Florida State offense. Really good team when they have the ball in their hands, and this is one of the things that Wake Forest wants to stop. They don't want them to score 82 points in this game.
That's right. They live off that motto, pace and space, and their pace starts immediately after they clear a defensive rebound. They get it and go. They score in transition. They typically get their shots within 10 or 12 seconds of a possession.
Jewel Spear missing that shot. Here we have a look at Brooke Wyckoff. This is her first season as a head coach, but she's so familiar with this program. Of course, played here, also had that one interim year a couple years ago. How special of a year is she having? Could she be ACC Coach of the Year?
She absolutely could. Yeah, she took over the reins from Coach Sue, almost 500 career wins, but Wyckoff is putting her own special touch on this program. As you see the tie up there and the whistle, Coach Wyckoff putting in the offense like we talked about, the pace and space. They play a little bit faster, so she's definitely putting her signature on it as a brand new head coach.
Start off with an early foul on Jasmine Massengill as the Demon Deacons will inbound it. Sumiel from the corner gets that one to go, and now Wake Forest is on the board.
Sumiel's confidence has just grown tremendously in her outside shot the last couple of weeks.
Big time rebound right there, as we're going to have another foul called on the floor. Michaela Timpson, whenever she's going to get the ball in the paint, she's going to try to score it every single time.
She is, and that's a point of emphasis that we talked about at shoot-around this morning, Chris, is that the coaching staff for the Seminoles, when they talk about KK, when you touch the ball down low, you have to shoot it. Mm-hmm. And that's a great problem to have as a coach when you have to turn a kid down. That's what you want from somebody, to where they don't know how good they are.
And she's so versatile. Even if the double team comes, she can maneuver out of that, right?
She can, and she's got the length, she's got the vision to pass out of it. Obviously, Florida State, the way they play, they want to spread the floor. They've got shooters everywhere. So when she does pass out, there are options.
Looks like they counted that last bucket from Sumiel as a 2. Kaya Harrison misses, but the rebound goes to Hines, and she puts it back. 6-4 early. This pace, do you think it favors Wake Forest right now, since they do want this to be a little bit less of a scoring game?
I think that we're still in the early stages. We don't know yet. If Wake Forest, a great question, if Wake Forest cannot turn the ball over the rest of this first period, I do agree that they're starting to set this early pace.
Elise Williams misses that one. Big rebound for the Seminoles. Look at Tanaya Latson trying to set up the offense right there.
And having, a floor general up top, the caliber of a Massengill, We talk about the floor vision. This team, they find the right shot, just like we're seeing here. Great movement, great spacing. Just couldn't get it to fall for KK.
Look at Wake Forest. They're rebounding pretty well so far. Florida State only 6 rebounds to Wake Forest's 5. So that's encouraging if you're head coach Megan Jebbia, as your team is in it when it comes down to the rebounding. So Wake Forest gets another 20 seconds on, but really unfortunate turnover right here. It's Nia Latson. Misses that one, gets it in the paint. Nice move, and she gets her own rebound and the foul for Jasmine Massengill. Huge play for her. How big is she going to be if she can also contribute for this team?
Well, and she is so poised. You know, she's got a circuitous route in college basketball. You see the pump fake there, puts it on the deck, going for the for the and one opportunity here. You know, started her career, she was a McDonald's All-American, spent some time at Tennessee, then she transferred over to Kentucky. This is her 3rd program, but she's really, really impressed with the way she can handle the ball, not turn it over, and find her teammates for great looks.
Best assist to turnover ratio in the ACC, 9 games with 5+ assists, and of course she's second on the team in minutes played. So of course, if she has a big game, then Florida State has a big game as she misses the and one opportunity. Big rebound from Summiel, who's holding her shoulder a little bit right there. This might be something that we can watch for the remainder of this game.
Yep, and for a team that's not very deep as it is, that would be a big loss for the Demon Deacons here in this pivotal conference matchup.
Quick timeout called by head coach Wyckoff. We'll be back from Winston-Salem as Florida State has an 8-4 lead.
ABC Hockey Saturday.
Welcome back to Winston-Salem as the number 23 team in the nation. Florida State has an 8-4 lead over Wake Forest as we look at 2 teams with first-year head coaches in the ACC, Megan Jebbia and also Brooke Wyckoff.
When you talk about Coach Jebbia, what a fantastic job she's doing here in her first year at Wake Forest. Multiple-time Patriot League champion at American, and she will readily tell you it takes time to build your culture. And I think this team has responded. She told us earlier today in shoot-around that she is not as hard on some of these kids, especially the 3 seniors that are picking up her system for the first time. The fact that they've got a chance to get a 6th ACC win here today in her first year says a lot about her coaching acumen.
Exactly. 79-14 at home before as a coach. And, you know, and something she told us that she's as nicer than what she probably would be. She hasn't figured out what's gotten under her team's skin so far. So once she figures that out, maybe she'll be a little bit meaner, but right now she's trying to figure out what gets under their skin.
The marquee of her teams at American were the seniors were the leaders. So most of them had conference championships under their belt already. They could teach the underclassmen how to practice. How do we do shoot around? How do we win championships? It's all brand new here in Winston-Salem.
Elise Williams, she went in for that shot, got her own rebound, missed it again, and got her own rebound again, was just fouled. So now Wake Forest has a fresh shot clock as Williams takes another shot. She just misses. Look at that. Small Sarah Bajetti skies for the rebound. Look at that crossover with just misses the runner. Williams out. She gets it to Harrison, who gets it over to Scruggs. Alexandria Scruggs gets on the board for the first time.
Interesting, the counterpunch there from the Demon Deacons. Obviously, Florida State wants to get out and run all night, but Wake Forest is going to push it back at you if you take a bad shot and it's a long rebound.
Bajetti misses the corner 3, and that's going to go out of bounds to Wake Forest. Here he is with that. Wake Forest going all the way down the court. What made this successful right here?
Well, they didn't hesitate, right? They usually want to bleed the clock, have half-court possessions where we're taking a shot with 5 on it, but you've got numbers there. Go ahead and push it. It ends up being a 2-on-1 with Harrison and Scruggs, and the outcome is exactly what the Demon Deacons needed.
Of course, you'll always take the points. Scruggs, once again, going forward. She's somebody who used to start for this team Now she's coming off the bench, and she's succeeding in her role.
She really, and I love the fact that you said that, her role. She's a jack of all trades, and she is adjusted to what Coach Jebby and the new staff want. She's taking more charges. She's getting after loose balls. Tonight, she's had a nice start offensively.
Last 4 points for Wake Forest. Gets that rebound to help start the offense. Really good start for Miss Scruggs. She's taking her time in the paint. Harrison goes left, and she gets a nice layup to go, and Wake Forest takes their first lead of the game.
And that right there is an example of a senior Kaya Harrison playing at 70 miles an hour instead of 100 miles an hour, something that the coaching staff has harped on all year, starting to pay dividends as we've got a 2-point game.
Wake Forest feel like they could have won that last meeting at Florida State. That one got out of hand in the second quarter when they missed a lot of shots that were open shots right there at the basket or open shots from the floor. They want to make sure that they're getting their good shots and they're staying in this one, especially after the first quarter. We know Wake Forest is good in the first quarter, but can they keep putting it together after that?
Well, it's a great point. And down in Tallahassee, I think in the second quarter, you also had a barrage of threes made by, conventional post players. 6'1", Aaron Howard. You've got 6'2", Mariana Valenzuela that are knocking down threes. That's going to extend a lead quickly.
So we see right here, Tanaya Latson, most all-time ACC Rookies of the Week. Look at these names that she passed. Tracy Connor and Elizabeth Williams. She's in great company, as we talked about her before. She could probably be the best player in the conference this year.
Well, she's got my nod. And one thing I love about her most is just her demeanor. She's a military kid. She lived in 7 or 8 different states and as far out as Hawaii. And she's been successful for every AAU team she's played for, won a national championship on the high school level. But this success doesn't seem like it's a shock to her. She just takes it in stride. It's nice to see from a freshman.
Jewel Spear gets on the board as she gets a little runner to go. So Wake Forest takes the lead back 12-10. They've been playing this pretty well so far, not letting Florida State get too comfortable and not letting them bounce up and down the court as they normally like to do.
They have. It looks like Wake Forest was fortunate right there to not get shots on that foul. It's one thing that they've got to keep the Seminoles, maybe not off the free throw line, but they can't live at the free throw line. Speaking of which.
And they're going back to the free throw line right here. Of course, looks like Hines is coming back in as Samiel is going to come back out. One of the things that we definitely have to look for Wake Forest, you said they're not deep on that bench. So if they can stay out of foul trouble, that will be optimal for this team as they're looking to try to get their first win this season against a top 25 ranked team.
That's right. They're going to have to stay out of foul trouble, and they're going to have to protect the basketball as well. Florida State did not extend their pressure as much as they could have in the game down in Tallahassee. I wouldn't be surprised in stretches if we see some full court pressure, possibly even after a made free throw here.
Valencia Myers makes both for Florida State. Of course, she's played more games for Florida State than anybody ever. 140. This is our 142nd game she's played for Florida State. As we now have a tie ball game in the first quarter. Corner 3 missed by Alyssa Andrews, but we're going to have a foul sending the ball the other way.
And it's a nice adjustment by Florida State. They're sprinkling in some zone here. Obviously, the coaching staff watched intently when Wake Forest played in Chapel Hill this past weekend. North Carolina went zone in the second half, and it gave Wake fits. Florida State's going to try it out a little bit tonight until they get burned. Worked out for them on the long rebound there over the back. And they're causing a lot of fouls early. Back to the line.
Florida State back at the line. They have no field goals in the last 3:31 of this game. But, of course, the fouls for Wake Forest keeping Florida State in it because they are scoring at the line so far as Myers misses this one. Let's check out her season numbers for Miss Valencia Myers. She's been looking pretty good for this program as, look at that, she is on the career block leaders in Florida State program history. A lot of great names up at the top with her 157 career blocks.
Well, and that's why when you got somebody like that back in the paint that can erase mistakes, you can comfortably sit a player the caliber of a KK Timpson, knowing that your defense is not going to drop off significantly.
Florida State moving to a zone. Scruggs 6 points for her as she's been a godsend off the bench for Wake Forest.
And that's exactly what Megan Jebbia talked about. We've got to have a bench. She feels like they've had defense from the bench. They want more offense. Maybe that starts tonight.
Latson working, passes it out, just rims out, and another good defensive possession for Wake Forest. Jewel Spear working. Of course, right now she's being guarded by Latson. Before, she was guarded by Sarah Bajetti and Tallahassee, and if she held her to only 11 points, but one of the things we heard from Coach Wyckoff is she wants Latson to step up when it comes to that defense and let that make her offense go a little bit better.
She does. She's got to be able to play and think at the same time. That possession, we saw some great on-ball defense. Coach Wyckoff was insistent that one thing that the freshman has to get better at is help side defense, not falling asleep when the ball's on the opposite side of the floor. We're nitpicking here. I mean, this is still...
She's only a freshman.
Right.
And she still has some room to grow. 14-13 right now in the first quarter. A little bit over a minute left. Wake Forest with the lead. They're looking pretty good as that Nia Becker with the steal right there. We saw her come out an hour before shoot-around. Shoot-around for an hour, didn't have an hour shoot-around. She's somebody who wants to play well for this team.
Well, it's a great point, and she's so ultra-prepared. You know, Coach talks about she's the one that she's got to dive into the playbook. Well, right there, that's a cross screen off a blur action that she anticipated. So she three-quarter fronted, got a deflection and a steal. That's strictly from doing her homework.
When you prepare kids, it takes you a long way. Wake Forest going to take this out of bounds. 23 seconds left on the shot clock. Under a minute left in this first quarter from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Kaya Harrison gets to an open Alexandria Scruggs. She can take that shot. She just rims out. Latson with the rebound. Bajetti not shy about finding her shot as she tries to go in to the paint. And she gets it back. She's just all over the place.
Energizer Bunny just never stops. She's so fun to watch. Would absolutely want to play with her, would not want to play against her.
Coach Wyckoff said exactly the same to us earlier. She would hated to have had her guard her back when she was playing for Florida State, as Florida State takes the lead, 15-14, 10 seconds left in the quarter. Harrison goes around, she goes right, just misses out on it. Florida State is going to have the lead heading into the second quarter, 15-14. We'll be back from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And it's been really good here at home.
That's right. They've got some marquee wins in here against the Louisville Cardinals. They knocked off the Miami Hurricanes, gave Duke a run for their money in a 10-point game. They've just been able to control pace and tempo better in this building and get better shots, not in quite as much foul trouble in this building either.
See that scoring defense holding teams to 59.1 points per game. This game so far matches that pace, which is good for Wake Forest.
Absolutely.
As they come up with a defensive rebound. They're leading in rebounds so far, which isn't typical for this team, especially against a bigger Florida State team. Nia Becker turns it over as Tania Latson is right there to pick it from her. She goes straight to the bucket, and she gets the lay-in.
And see, that right there is the difference between really good and elite. The reason why is because she launched off of 2 feet. She's got that long wingspan. The 2 feet jump makes you stronger in the air. Took a little bit of contact, not enough for a foul, but finished easily.
Florida State up 17-14 so far. Wake Forest is in a little bit of a drought when it comes down to made field goals. And that drought continues after that missed shot. So that's going to be an offensive foul called on the Seminoles.
Well, and they live in that area in extended transition as you watch the live ball turnover, here's the freshman phenom going off 2 feet like we talked about, taking just a little bit of a bump, and she's so comfortable around the rim, it's going in.
One of the things I like about Latson also, she can go both directions. If we didn't have a turnover right there for Florida State, she was going to her left, and you saw in that replay she was going to her right, and both look extremely comfortable for her.
You know, that's a great point. And by design, as we see a foul call here.
Right there on Jules Spear, getting Sarah Bigetti off of her. Bigetti being that annoying gnat all over her so far on that end of the court.
But you know, Chris, you talk about utilizing both sides of the floor for Florida State's offense, whether it's in transition or in the half court. By design, they run a lot of blur stuff where one guard will cut in front of the other just enough to make the defender make a decision. It also gets your kids in different spots on the floor.
Florida State looking to extend their lead right now, 3-point lead over Wake Forest, as a foul is going to be called, and looks like Aaron Howard is going to go to the line. Howard, the redshirt senior from Madison, Wisconsin, did play at Auburn before, started 49 straight games for the Seminoles. That's their longest active streak, so she definitely knows what it takes to become a significant player for inside of this offense.
Well, especially, you say inside the offense for sure, but she's thrived from outside this year. The two-woman game with Latson has just been so impressive. She'll set a high ball screen, run a little kiss cut, and just pop back for an open three. She can get hot from that distance, and that's when, we talked about leads can go from an 18-14 up to 28-14 in a heartbeat.
Kiss cut. I like the sound of that.
Oh, yeah.
As we're about 9 days removed from Valentine's Day.
We used to talk about kiss cuts whenever we were preparing. Another foul here.
Bigetti is just all up in everybody's grill today as she draws that foul on Kaya Harrison. And Kaya Harrison doesn't know exactly what's going on. Bigetti, she's that type of a player. She's going to be somebody who's going to get you off of your game, and looks like it's working so far for Florida State.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. They can't call all the fouls. I'm not saying the Bigetti fouls, but she's every play, but she's very physical. They're not going to call it all. Eventually, it's going to make whoever she's guarding really frustrated, as we saw Harrison was right there.
Florida State keeping Wake Forest on a little bit of a scoring drought right now as they're looking for their first bucket in a while. And here we go. Alexandria Scruggs, she's has a big game so far, and she's going to go to the line to try to get Wake Forest a little bit closer back into this game.
One thing that you see the drive there, but what that was from, Chris, that was off of a skip pass against the zone. In shoot-around this morning, that's exactly what the Wake staff was focusing on. With skip it, they're still going to guard that strong side corner, but you can exploit it on a 45-degree drive. That's what puts her at the line right now.
Scruggs gets the first one to go as we look at what Wake Forest wants to do in this game. It's the triple S. Why does this work for Wake Forest?
Well, I think the last part of that, you see set good screens. Well, what they mean by that, those are off-ball screens, not necessarily a two-woman game. Off-ball screens where you've got to finish your cut. And like, for instance, Coach Jeppia said, if Jules Spear starts off slow, what she needs to do is come curl harder off the ball to try to get easier looks in the paint. They want to spray the ball, have 5 women that can shoot from anywhere on the floor. They want to turn good shots into great shots. It's going to take some time, but we're starting to see the evolution of Wake Forest offensive basketball.
Wake Forest, as far as their shooting defense, is really good, holding Florida State to 25%, but a lot of the difference in this game is they're fouling a little bit more and putting Florida State at the line, which is why the Seminoles have the lead at this moment. As right now we have a foul, looks like on Sarah Bigetti. At some point, it's not going to all go your way, right?
You got that. I love this matchup, as you see them squaring off against each other. A player, the defensive caliber of a Bigetti, sometimes she's going to get herself in trouble being too physical. And whistles are different, right? I mean, you're not going to get the same whistle from the same crew or at different venues every night.
So you have a turnover right here as a walk is going to be called on Marta Morales. She's normally number 13, but in these pink jerseys, they don't have a number 13, so she has to wear number 33 today. So if you're checking at home and saying, wait a minute, who is number 33? Yes, that is Marta Morales. We checked. She is on the roster. It was just that she had to change her number just for today. 19-16, Seminoles up with 7 minutes left in the second quarter. That one rolls around the rim, and the Deacs get the rebound. Elise Williams pulls up. She learned that one at Wakefield High School in Raleigh, North Carolina, scoring from deep.
And I love the patience there. She waited for the ball screen to happen. Her defender, unfortunately for Florida State, went underneath it, made them pay.
Ties the game at 19. Taniyah Latson doesn't get the friendly roll at all. I mean, she is the away player, so the rim's unkind to her today in Winston-Salem so far. This one's kind of a little bit of an ugly game so far, right up Wake Forest alley. As Elise Williams smacks in another three, and we're going to have a timeout. 22-19, the Seminoles down to Wake Forest here in Winston-Salem. Wake Forest up 22-19 on the number 23 team in the nation on an 8-0 run over the last 133. What's the difference, Ryan?
Well, you see Elise Williams, first play right there, just making a smart decision going. Her defender goes underneath the ball screen. She pulls it for three. The second one is just a heat check, right? Not known as a prolific shooter, but she's coming around, part of that natural progression of a hardworking sophomore.
Florida State going back to the line with Valencia Myers. This is what's been working for them so far in this first half. They're only shooting the ball at 23%, but they've definitely been able to go to the free throw line, and that's where they've been able to keep up in this game. That's their 9th made free throw of the game so far.
Yeah, they're certainly mucking it up. They know they've got a size advantage. They may not be hitting the little chippies, but, Wake Forest made it a priority this morning. They said, we've got to be physical. Well, they're being physical.
10 made free throws for Florida State as they are shooting it 10 for 13 from the line. Wake Forest has only attempted 2 of them as we see another turnover. Look at that speed, but it doesn't go. Elise Williams kind of show her speed, but almost got picked. Kaya Harrison's right there, and she can't get the scoop layup to go in. We'll see Florida State getting their offense together by OMG.
Yeah, Wake's got to be careful. They don't want to get in a track meet here.
OMG goes to get the rebound. Looks like Wake Forest could have gotten that one, but they just weren't as quick to the ball as Florida State has been. Nice steal. Kaya Harrison comes up with it. Marta Morales can't get her first points in the number 33 jersey. We're waiting for that.
Unfortunate. She got caught in no woman's land, kind of halfway up. Didn't know if she wanted to pass or shoot. Next thing you know, the ball's in one hand and it turns into a turnover. But positives, they're trying to get the ball out in transition. Would have been a good look. Got to keep it up.
Wake Forest shooting 32%, only 21% so far for Florida State. That doesn't make it any better, but we're going to have a foul on this side of the floor on Elise Williams. That's somebody that you're going to need to stay in the game and stay out of foul trouble. So that's her second foul of the game.
Yeah, she's got it. She was in foul trouble down in Tallahassee, still managed to swipe 7 steals. Imagine, if she had free reign. She's got to be careful the rest of the half here. But, that possession for Florida State, really impressive what Taylor O'Brien was able to do. Get deep into the lane. We call it a donut move, where you use your outside foot as your pivot. You turn back around, gives you a little turnaround fadeaway with some separation from the defender.
Myers makes another free throw. That ties the game. No field goals for Florida State in almost 5 minutes. They've missed their last 6 shots, but they are staying in this because of those free throws at the line. Wake Forest can stay away from fouling and turning the ball over. They could have a sizable lead right here as they turn the ball over once again. Latson's been a little bit quiet, and now she's going to get fouled by Becker.
Just the emphasis of this offense. the pace and space, and they attack downhill. They are absolutely downhill drivers. And when you have somebody as crafty and as athletic as Tania Latson, you're going to find yourself on the free throw line so often. So that sort of pads her numbers a bit, but she earns those. She's listening to the coaches to say, this is the kind of offense we want to play. I'm going to take advantage of it.
This game has been played at Wake Forest pace, but it looks like Florida State's trying to push their will on them a little bit, and they've been able to do that a little bit, kind of getting to the line right now.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised if the foul total gets to the point for Wake Forest by halftime that Coach Wyckoff and the brain trust at Florida State decide to up the pressure a little bit and the tempo.
Florida State takes the lead 23-22, all been because of free throws. They have no field goals in over 5 minutes. A lot of their damage coming from the line. Wake Forest setting up their offense right now. Becker to Morales. She's going to drive. Can't get it, but that's going to be out of bounds, and the ball is going to stay on this side for Wake Forest.
And you know, Chris, we talk about the evolution of Coach Gebbia and her roster. That possession right there, Florida State's big. Valencia Myers was able to stay back in the paint and not have to guard out to the three-point line. Eventually, when they've got a couple recruiting classes under their belts, everybody on that court will take that shot.
Wake Forest has Spear, Sumiel, and Elise Williams on the bench right now. So how big is it for these players that are on the court to step up in their absence?
Well, it's huge. You got a gang rebound. It's a great question. But moreover, you've got to play without fouling on this end.
Sarah Bajetti. Big take as she breaks the drought for Florida State, getting that bucket to go, as we're going to have a timeout called by Coach Gebbia. Florida State up 25-22. Right now, Florida State is on a 6-0 run, as now Wake Forest has gone on a drought. They've missed their last 5 shots of the game.
Well, that's right. You know, they found themselves in foul trouble, and some key people are having to sit more extended minutes on the bench, unfortunately, for Wake. But Florida State taking advantage. They're picking their spots. Florida State's not playing great, but they're doing what they can tonight, and that is get to the line. Now they're starting to rebound a little bit better.
Florida State, one of the top teams in the nation. As you look, they're top 20 in the net, and they're trying to play out the last regular season game so they could possibly host an NCAA tournament in the first round. What do they need to do to get there?
You know, I think if they win these last 2 regular season games and they win the first round in the ACC tournament, I think that they're going to get there. But this is a program. This isn't something that Coach Wyckoff thinks, oh, we're going to talk in platitudes. We hope to get there. This program's been to 3 Elite Eights. She expects to get there.
Big time for the first-year head coach if she were to get that. But, of course, she's had a really good mentor along the way, as we see that shot goes by Alyssa Andrews, and she breaks the drought for Wake Forest as they pull back within 1. 3 minutes left in the first half.
I think Alyssa Andrews is going to be a key piece moving forward for Wake Forest. Just a sophomore, has really embraced both sides of the ball, learning every week in and week out. She's getting better.
You see this crew on the floor for Wake Forest. A lot of these players don't normally see a lot of the big minutes, don't normally have a lot of the scoring load, but when you have Spear, Sumiel, and Elise Williams on the bench, you have to do exactly what Becker did and be aggressive, and now she's going to the line for 2.
That's right. She just attacked that sloppy closeout, and that's one thing about Becker. Look at that length. You can't make that up. I mean, whatever she's listed at, she's definitely plays 3 or 4 inches longer. That allowed her to extend that right arm, at least get the ball up on the rim, make the official make a call.
Listed at 6'2" from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And she misses her first one, eh? One thing that Wake Forest can do a little bit better, of course, is shoot better from the line, but they're not getting as many opportunities so far as Florida State has, as she sinks her second of 2.
That's a great point. It's the same thing. It's taking advantage of possessions. You know, if you're going to control the tempo, which Wake wants to, you've got to shoot it at a better percentage from the floor and the free throw line when you get there.
Wake Forest commits another foul right here. That one's going to be on Scruggs. Coach Gebbia barking out her orders, wants to make sure her ladies are prepared for this moment. course, she's had a pretty good season for her first year, and you can definitely see the improvement in Wake Forest and seeing where they could possibly go in the future.
And, I was impressed this morning with just the joy that her team plays with.
Yes.
They're out of contention for that 9th seed, and that's okay. Her mindset is, let's try to go get, lock up number 10. Let's try to get this 6th ACC win at home. And that attitude permeates to your players. It was a fun atmosphere. You knew they were going to be ready to play. That's why we're all watching a fantastic game tonight.
And if I can editorialize for a little bit, she has the best hair in the ACC. I mean, look at those locks. That's some beautiful locks right there, as Wake Forest now finds themselves down by 2:26 left in this first half. And this crew on the floor for Wake Forest, they've done a good job, as some of the big-time stars are on the bench right now.
Just trying to manage the game here. Solid possessions.
Becker gets it out, and look at that, a big-time three-pointer, as Wake Forest is now back on top by 28-27.
Just a little zone set. Reagan Connolly knocking that thing down.
Tania Latson, though, she's not going to let that go for too long.
She's certainly not. But Coach Jebbia, I know we've got close to 2 minutes left here, but she's got to be pleased with the entirety of the way this half has gone, especially with some of these players that are normally substitutes really contributing.
Got Becker change speeds, but she's blocked by Myers. Of course, we talked about the blocks for Myers earlier. That's going to turn into some offensive chances for the Seminoles, but that's out of bounds, heading Wake Forest's way. Let's look at this block one time again. This is why she's so good at it.
Just times it up, and she knows that's a scouting report thing. It's a lefty. You know that Becker's going to go left if she has a chance, so she times it up, launches off her right foot to get power in the air, and just swats that thing.
Wake Forest staying close in this game as, Becker goes up and under and gets the reverse layup to go to give Wake Forest the lead. My goodness. That's that extra hour of preparation we saw earlier today as Valencia Myers gets the lead back for Florida State.
It is. Got to be impressed, too, with how the Seminoles, they're shot out of a cannon. Even after a made basket, they're right back at you. Deep post position gets an easy bucket. What a game we're seeing here.
We are, and this is one of the improvements for Wake Forest from the last game. At this point in the game, it started to get out of hand for them a little bit, but they've kept this one close, even with some of their big stars on the bench.
That's right, and I think Coach Jebbia often talks about some of these kids, it's like maybe they're afraid to make a mistake. I think some of that mentality is getting erased. Mm-hmm. They're doing some good things against a great team.
Bajetti goes right. She misses. Wake Forest gets the big-time rebound. Kaya Harrison is going to help set up the offense on the other end. So under 30 left in the half. Wake Forest down by 1. What do you want to get right here if you're Wake Forest?
Well, you got to look at your personnel. The main thing, Kaya Harrison is a senior. She's playing at 70%. Let her make a read on the second or third level of this defense, trying to find an open shooter.
Under 5 to shoot right now for the Deacs. Bajetti with that great defense. Harrison still gets up a shot, but she doesn't make it. And now we're coming down to the other end as that one goes off the top. And Florida State is going to go to the break with the 31-30 lead over Wake Forest. Boy, we're going to have the second half coming up soon.
Did you know one of Nissan's EVs survived the North Pole?
From the mid-range with her step-back game and all that. So all it takes, she can get white hot in a hurry, but they've got to get her the touches, and she has to stay out of foul trouble.
This game is going how Wake Forest wants it to go. However, you need Jules Spear to score, and I'm sure that Coach Megan Jebbia would take it right now. She said, hey, at halftime, you're only going to be down by 1, but, of course, Jules Spear is going to be a little bit of foul trouble, only score 2 points. I think she'd take that.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at a 1-point game.
Oh, you saw that right there. A little bit of miscommunication between Hines and Spear. They were trying to figure out what to do, and Spear cut back, and Hines thought she was going to cut towards the basket. That's where she threw it. So Wake Forest with another turnover, their 8th of the game. Florida State, what do they have to do to expand on their lead and also walk away with their next win in conference?
Well, honestly, they need to keep clearing off defensive possession. So offensively, they got to do just like that. Sarah Bigetti drives to the rim. They get the foul call. Okay, they're going to get points that way if they're not making shots. But on the other end, they've got to clear off those possessions so they can get out in transition.
And this is big because this is Elise Williams' third foul of the game. So this is going to be an interesting decision right here. Looks like Coach Megan Jebbia is going to keep her in for right now. We'll see how that impacts the game plan going forward in this game because she's their only true ball handler, and you're going to need her ball handling skills in this game.
Well, that's right, and Wake has shown throughout this season that they're vulnerable to three-quarter court or full-court pressure, especially traps in the back court. So if you're down one of your ball handlers, that's not going to bode well for you as far as taking control of the basketball and keeping it.
Bigetti makes both of them. Wake Forest down by 3. This is where they want to be, but they're also going to have to find some offense. They went through a couple of droughts there in the first half, but they were able to answer back when they absolutely needed it. We'll see what they do here in the second half of the game. Williams loses it out of bounds, but they're going to say it's out on Florida State.
You know, that's something that's unique to Florida State's defense. They've done it all year where it's almost a design back tap. They're allowed to close out so hard. If they get beaten off the bounce, they back tap it and try to get a deflection that way.
Spear calling for the screen. She gets it. The defense has just been suffocating on her. She hoists up the 3, but can't get it to go as she's still struggling offensively. Latson not struggling right now. Great spin move for the lay-in.
Oh, you just can't make that up. Picking her spots, played at a good pace on that. Smooth.
Williams drives left, trying to get something to go. Hines can't get the rebound, and she's going to knock over Myers. Let's look at this Latson basket once again.
Just watch the freshman. Just floor general, has her eyes up the whole time. She fakes with her eyes, that little slight feint with her eyes to the right, made that help side defender jump over to the left just enough so that she could finish the layup off the spin, high off the glass. She is a special talent in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
So here'll be something to watch. That was Demira Hines' third foul of the game. Right now, Nia Becker is in for her to play this game. What's the difference? How is Nia Becker going to have to step up in Hines' place?
Well, I think, first of all, she's going to have to rebound. She's going to have to play without fouling, as we've got a foul.
Another foul on the court.
But what Nia Becker did in that first half, Chris, to your point, was she was really aggressive attacking the rim. She finished one up and under with a reverse, and then she tried to finish one with her right hand. That's a lefty. Use that link to your advantage when those bigs step out of the paint for Florida State, and you're able to put the ball on the deck and go by them.
This was a part of the story of the first half. Florida State living at the line, and so far that's continuing in the second half. Wake Forest has yet to score their first points in the second half, as now the Seminoles are up by 7. A lot of that damage being done at the line. Elise Williams, she's going to have to play careful. She has the ball right now. She has 3 fouls. And Jules Spear, only 2 points. Wake Forest leading scorer. She's going to have to try to get that going.
It's amazing watching Bigetti just sit down on the player as good offensively as Spear.
Nice pass by Becker. Kaya Harrison with the fake, and she just gets everything but the bucket. A great offensive move. Florida State continues to be cold. They haven't shot very well, only 28% from the floor.
Wake's hanging in there on the glass.
Coach Jebbia is calling for a foul. She thinks there should be something right there, and she's upset at the referees having a spirited discussion right now. Let's look at this again. See, what do you think this could have been called?
You've got Kaya there. You know, she's slapping straight down, but let's be honest, you're at home, okay? You're at home, and you may expect to get that call, especially in light of the fact that Florida State has lived. I mean, they've built a tent on the free throw line.
Florida State continuing to play great defense. Wake Forest still cold. Hasn't scored 2.5 minutes into this third quarter. Great tap back by Nia Becker, and now Elise Williams comes up with the loose ball, and Wake Forest, they're driving the ball right now to see what they can do.
Elise Williams did a fantastic job in post defense there on Myers. Mismatched size-wise, but not hard.
Spaghetti just rips that one away from Spear, continues to shut her down. And she still makes it in, even losing her balance, and she lets it know as soon as she gets back up.
She's got a football mentality like a fullback, and I mean that as a compliment. She creates contact, she sheds it off, finishes through it, always has that energy. Florida State looking good here, up 9.
Did you know one of
Sarah Bajetti known for a suffocating defense, but it turns into offense right here.
That's right. She's obviously got Jewel Spear a little bit frustrated, but once she gets that thing, she goes from defense to offense. We call that conversion as quickly as you're going to find in the conference. Sheds off some contact at the rim and still finishes. What a fiery athlete. Mm-hmm. Coach Wyckoff has got to be so pleased with her progression as we look forward to the ACC tournament.
Jewel Spear's only 1 of 5 from the floor, only 2 points. She was held to only 11 points down in Tallahassee less than a month ago, and Sarah Bajetti continues to do her job, and here she is with the ball right here, goes right, but misses it that time. So Wake Forest is starting to run a little bit. Spear, fear the Spear. We're not talking about the Seminoles on that one, as finally Jewel Spear sees a 3 go through.
Yes, sir. You got to fear the Spear, but you also need to be near the Spear. Transition defense just wasn't there for the Seminoles, and she will make you pay anywhere, anytime left open from deep.
That's why you succeeded as a coach. You come up with the really good sayings really fast.
I don't know about that.
As that's a big rebound from Myers. She's been big in the paint, but a big rebound also for Wake Forest as they're running the other way. And Spear, of course, maybe a little heat check on this side. Let's see. She passes up to Samuel. Turnover right now as OMG is driving the ball on Kaya Harrison. One of the things that Wake Forest could be a little bit better with, 10 turnovers so far in this game, but Florida State can't capitalize off of that turnover. They're still up by 6 halfway through this third quarter.
Yeah, big possession here. Run some of your stuff. Get what you want, not what you think you can take early in the shot clock. It's only a 2-possession game.
Nia Becker didn't like the look. She gets it out to Samuel. Samuel misses, and there's Sarah Bajetti. She's all over the court, even grabbing rebounds.
You know, some of Bajetti's progression on offense that I've seen the last 4 or 5 games, she's known to go 100 miles an hour all the time. But you see there, secondary transition, it just wasn't there. She was able to take a deep breath, hand it off to a teammate. Let's get into something.
Florida State can't quite get anything to go right here. It looks like we're going to have a foul on Valencia Myers. Wake Forest down by 6 to the number 23 team in the nation. We'll be right back.
Did you know one of Nissan's EVs survived the North Pole?
Jewel Spear, one of the best three-point shooters in Wake Forest history. She's 3rd all-time in three-pointers made. She just made her 222nd one, but she's going to need a lot more for Wake Forest to get the win today.
That's right. She's got the capability to have spurtability, and part of the reason why is because she can let that thing fly from what we call the Houston spot. If you watch Alabama men's basketball, they do this where it's 3 or 4 feet behind the line by design so that you give yourself room off the bounce if you need it. In late game situations for Wake this year when they've been down and Jewel is allowed to go off, she hits threes from there routinely.
The ability for spurtability. As we look at that, Nia Becker with the scoop under and sweet, and one opportunity for Wake Forest. We talked about this before. They needed to get to the line, and she got herself an opportunity.
Well, what's so impressive about that finish, that's with the right hand. She's a lefty. So not only having the confidence, but making that shot in a game against the 23rd ranked team in the country, she's really making some strides here.
And she gets the old-fashioned three-pointer right there, making the point after. The kids will call that the fillet. She gets that one to neatly fall into the basket. Kaya Harrison cannot believe that foul call right there on Taniyah Latson. It looked like Latson initiated that contact. We look at the replay right here.
Yeah, I think she did, but I honestly think this is part of being such a crafty guard as well. She knows her reputation in the league. She knows what she's probably going to get whistle-wise, so she took a chance and she got it.
The freshman being crafty on the senior right there.
That's right.
As Wake Forest comes up with the big rebound. And here's Spear. You said she has the ability for spurt ability, and she has the ability to cross people up as well, but she's also get called for an offensive foul. That was really smart from Miss Myers.
Way to sacrifice her body defensively there. I thought, you see Jewel with the nice crossover here. I thought she could have gone 1-2 footstep and pulled up from about 12 feet, instead of really initiating that contact and leaving it up to the hands of the officials.
Looks like they're going to review this one as well. If this one stands, though, this will put Wake Forest in a really compromising situation. Jewel Spear with 3 fouls. Kaya Harrison right now with 3 fouls. Elise Williams with 3 fouls. And also Demira Hines with 3 fouls. That is something that Wake Forest is going to have to overcome if they're going to try to win this game.
Well, and that's one possibility. The other possibility is, what if it gets reversed? You're looking at Jewel going to the line with a chance to make this a 1-point game, and she's got some confidence going.
So here's what the referees are reviewing. And maybe looks like a heel was on that circle line. We'll see. We'll see what the referees decide to call right here.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see Jewel Spear going to the free throw line.
Of course, it has to be conclusive video evidence. We're looking at what the officials are considering at this moment. I know that as a former coach, maybe you had choice words for officials at some point, but if you're an official looking at that replay, what do you see?
Well, I'll be honest with you, sometimes it depends on the quality of the technology.
That's true.
At the venue.
We're at Wake Forest, though. This is quality.
It doesn't get better than this. This is the ACC. But it depends on the angle that they get. Ooh, now she may have just inched that left foot up just enough to be outside. These kind of bang-bang plays, I don't think you can be mad either way.
But was it there in time, though? Because at that point, she's already up.
Yeah,
Jewel Spear's already in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that Jewel Spear should be sitting 15 feet from the basket taking 2 shots for free throws. I would not be surprised either call that they make, although it is a big one here in this tightly contested game.
Let's see this one more time as Myers doesn't look like she's in position. She moves her foot just outside, but Spear is already in the air at that point. So we'll see what the officials decide. They're right now in their chat circle, seeing what they're considering for this call, as a decision seems to be imminent. And this will stand. So they're going to say that Valencia Myers was there in time, and this will be the 3rd foul against Jewel Spear, which now gives Wake Forest 4 players with 3 fouls each, and we're still 3:44 left in the 3rd quarter. That is something that they're going to have to watch for the remainder of the game.
That's right. You have a 6'3" post player making that play against arguably the best player on the opponent's team. Chance to give yourself a 2-possession lead. That's how you win road games in the ACC.
Nice step over from Taylor O'Brien. She gets the layup to go. Wake Forest was on a 6-0 run before that. Florida State answers back up by 5. Look at Nia Becker. She's having a pretty good game. It was Scruggs the first half, and now Becker is being that person for Wake Forest to step up in the second half.
She really is. That 6'2" length, and when she extends like that, it's impressive. Does a lot off of 2 bounces or less.
And she drew the charge herself. So we had a charge on one end. Nia Becker, offense turns into defense, and that gives Wake Forest the ball back.
I think she's earning herself some more PT come Sunday.
Right here.
See her step in, taking another charge. Nia Becker getting it done. Both sides of the floor tonight, keeping Wake Forest in this game.
And this was something that we talked to about with Coach Jebbia. She needed some players to step up. And you knew that maybe Jules Spear would probably have a hard time in this one because of the great defense of Sarah Bajetti. We saw in the first half, Scruggs stepping up, 8 big points. And right now it's Nia Becker in the second half. But they're going to need a little bit more also from their stars in Jules Spear.
Absolutely. Need some from Spear. And I think Liv needs to give them a little something. You know, a couple threes from the top of the key. If they can run some sets for her. Her shots look very good the last couple of weeks. I think the confidence is there. The confidence is always there for Tania Latson. That freshman, she's creeped into, what do her numbers look like now?
15 points for her, 4 for 8 from the field. Of course, 7 of her points have come from that free throw line, so she's getting it done all over.
And I think that's what great players do. You look up and you say, oh, maybe they didn't play so great, but then the stat line says different.
Becker was trying to flash to the paint, but that's a turnover. Valencia Myers with the good hands. Myers sheds Becker off of her, but it looks like that's going to be a foul called on Becker. She can't believe it. You see her face as she's coming up. Jules Spear's worst nightmare, Sarah Bajetti coming into the game right now. As Elise Williams looks like she's about to check in for Wake Forest, which is something that Wake Forest will need right now.
Well, let's be honest, that defensive possession there by Becker, that was the smart thing to do. You don't want to give up a gimme layup to a great post player like Myers, who's 6'3". And Myers, at least in spurts this year, has struggled from the free throw line. So it's not a guarantee she hits both of these, giving yourself a chance to manufacture some points the other way.
Well, she gets the first one to go, as Florida State has lived at the line in this game. Second one just rolls in, friendly roll for the away team. Florida State now has a 7-point lead on Wake Forest. A lot of that damage coming from the free throw line. Wake Forest desperately needs to answer back. So we're going to have a foul called on the floor.
I think Wake's doing a nice job of attacking these late closeouts and drawing some fouls on Florida State themselves. One more, they'll find themselves at the free throw line with a chance to creep back just a little bit in this game.
Spear with a little step back over to Spear, and that's a good way to get going as well. You can also score in the paint.
That's just smooth. There's a handful of players in the country that can make that move. Changes speeds. Finishes so smoothly with the left hand high off the glass. Footwork immaculate.
Tania Latson, of course, she looks immaculate, but she misses the gimme. And that's going to be a foul going the other way for Wake Forest. So maybe Wake Forest can put together a nice little run. They've made 3 of their last 3 field goals.
Yeah, big part of the game here, obviously. Coming to the close of the third quarter, third period, you're down 5. It's 2-possession game. Next thing you know, you execute a bit, and it's 1 possession, and you're right where you talked about 2 or 3 days getting ready for this game. You're right there. Mm-hmm. Now it's real. On the flip side, they give up a couple of threes. It could be double digits going to the fourth. So crucial crunch time here, late third.
Olivia Samuel, the senior at the line from Dayville, Connecticut, makes both of them. And that pulls Wake Forest to within 3. A minute left in this third quarter, exactly where Wake Forest wants to be. Myers sneaks away as she extends Florida State's lead back up to 5.
Well, and there's Latson coming off that middle ball screen. Wake likes to hedge really hard, can't recover in time. Latson has the perfect timing for an easy deuce.
Samuel going for 3, but she misses that one. Big rebound for the Noles as we are under 40 seconds left in this third period. Latson decides to pull this one back out a little bit, sets her offense up a little bit more. Samuel meets her in the circle. But Latson so strong, gets her own rebound, and now she's going to the line. She could just do it all.
Well, and you see how she gets her own offensive rebound. She doesn't bring it down at all. That's training. That doesn't just happen for basketball players. She keeps that thing high, goes back up again, gets fouled yet again. Really impressive here tonight on a night where she's not shooting the ball incredibly well. She has, living up to the billing as far as getting to the free throw line at an outstanding rate.
Already 7 of 8 from the line. 7 of 9 right now, but man, she's been living at the line and she's been helping herself out. She's kind of been struggling from the floor herself, but making it count where when you get the freebies at the free throw line. Latson misses both. Big time rebound from Samuel. 10 seconds left in the third quarter. Elise Williams with the ball. Less than 5 to shoot. She lets it fly, misses it, and Wake Forest goes to the fourth quarter, down by 5. We'll be back from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
South Charlotte,
The ACC tournament.
Jewel Spear not having the game that she would want, but she did step it up a little bit in the third quarter. Right now she has 7 points, 5 of those coming in the third period.
And you know what? When I look at what's going on with Jewel right now, it's been there, done that. She's proven time and time again that she can turn it on in spurts. Let's see if she can do that here tonight.
Tanaya Latson also with 15 points as, there we go, Nia Becker once again right there in the right spot at the right time and draws that charge.
Coach Jebbia has to be so happy. She's got another piece that's helping put together the whole puzzle.
Oh, they switched the call. The officials talked about it a little bit. They're going to say that she was inside of the cylinder, and so now this will be a foul against Nia Becker. There's a replay right there. Let's see if we can see where her feet were at.
Couldn't really see the feet on that one, but you got to love the effort.
Can't get that look, but that is a turn of events, and you're going to hear the Boo Birds coming out right here in Winston-Salem. Not too cold for them as we're having a pretty warm day here in the Triad. But some people will say ball don't lie, and we missed a shot right here, and now Elise Williams is bringing it up court. Wake Forest down by 7, looking to surprise the world and get a top 25 win. Elise Williams around the curl, and she gets the floater to go, and that pulls Wake Forest back within 5.
Nice little mid-range floater, getting deep into her bag right there. Late shot clock, huge shot for the sophomore.
Wake Forest didn't panic on that possession, even though it was getting low in the shot clock, and got a really good shot look from Elise Williams. Oh, KK Timpson, she's back with a big-time shot. She has 4 fouls, so she has to play carefully, but right now, she just gave Olivia Samuel some work.
Look at this footwork. Kickstand's what we call that. You keep that pivot. Now I'm going to spin on you. I'm going to rise up, use my length. She's got a high release as well. No chance for Sumio there.
Look at the way she's improved from last season to this season. These numbers are stark.
Oh, it is, and part of it is she's paying attention to details. Coach talks about she's starting to post up a lot deeper. She's getting that field, I don't want to get too technical with it, but a field goal to where she's getting too much separation now from her defender, so once she gets a touch, she can lay it right in. All the details are paying off with wins.
Foul starting to add up for the Demon Deacons as we have a nice spin move in the paint by Becker, but she can't get the bucket to go. Becker has 4 fouls right now. Kaya Harrison has 4 fouls. And we have a number of other players, 4 to be exact, with 3 fouls for the Demon Deacons. Jewel Spear trying to make something go. Only 7 points for her. She was held in check with 11 points the last time out in Tallahassee. And Elise Williams is going to go to the line for 3 after being fouled. Good chance for Wake Forest to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit.
Crafty right there, selling it a little bit, but knowing, hey, I've got her up under me a little bit. If I get this call, I'm going to the line. Chance to get knocked 3 off this deficit. Really impressed with the progression of sophomore Elise Williams. Mm-hmm. Coach talks about she's maybe the brightest player in the program. It's just about mental consistency for her. And I think that's what we're seeing here the second half of the ACC season.
77% free throw shooter, makes her first one and has 2 more coming up. Out of Raleigh, North Carolina, went to Wakefield High School. Big star out there, and she sinks her second one, third one coming up. This is something that Wake Forest needed. They didn't really go to the line that much in the first half, and this will help them maybe hopefully get them a little bit more offense generated.
Yeah, they're still right there. They've got to string together 3 stops in a row, that kind of thing. UVA basketball calls that a gap. Whatever your terminology is, you need to have some rhythm right here. You win with defense.
Tonight, Latson goes for 3, and she misses that one. 3 hasn't been very kind for the Seminoles so far in this game. Only making 1 of 12, as now we're going to have a foul called on this end of the floor. But the Seminoles would like to have more than 1 3-pointer made, and that's probably one of the differences in the game as well. One of the reasons why they're not off to a bigger lead.
Well, that's right. And, Wake's done such a good job bringing over the system from American and Coach Jebbia where, in help side, they're loaded up so much. When they close out, they know exactly what kind of shooter you are. You're not going to get off an easy look. So teams decide, hey, I'm going to try to put the ball on the deck and get by this girl.
Demira Hines back in the game. She has 3 fouls. Something to look for. Nice drive from Elise Williams. The move and the smooth scoop in to pull Wake Forest back within 4.
Beautiful finish. Looked like she went off her right foot with the right hand. That's modern day basketball right there. You're not taught that in church league. We're at the highest level.
As now Wake Forest hopes that their offense turns into some really good defense. Sarah Bajetti also has the moves, and that's going to be a block for Miss Demira Hines as she's back on the court making her presence felt. And that's what you miss with her being on the bench for a little bit because she was in foul trouble.
Absolutely. It's the same way down in Tallahassee. She played 22 or 23 minutes. They need her out there as much as humanly possible.
Tonight, Latson is just quick. Could have been the 4th foul call on Demira Hines, but the referees let that go, and now that ball is going to go to Wake Forest. So now Wake Forest can continue this trend and move this a little bit closer towards Florida State. Florida State has missed their last 4 field goals.
Yeah, Wake's really locking up defensively. You see Wake typically, they're going to help over and then down, and I think they're doing a nice job of that, especially in the second half with these north-south drivers.
Summiel misses everything. We're going to go the other direction. Latson, been quick. She's had some opportunities at the bucket, but she's had a hard time making them. And look at that nice shot from Aaron Howard. And that stops the scoring drought of over 2 minutes for the Seminoles.
Well, and that's what happens when you're such a threat from deep. Aaron Howard had a streak that got up to at least 18, maybe even 20 games in a row where she hit a 3. Wake knows that. They are closing out crazy hard. It's one dribble in, mid-range jumper.
That's now 4 fouls on Demira Hines, and there's 6:21 left in this game. Sarah Bajetti is a little shaken up on the court. That's not good for either team. It looks like Hines is going to stay in the ball game at the moment. We'll see what happens with Sarah Bajetti as this is what happened on the play.
Well, and it all starts by the off-ball defense of Sarah Bajetti. She's staying connected to Jewel Spear, who we talked about could go off. Well, there's a foul trouble. Hines, sticks her rear out just a little bit to get the call, and now you're seeing what we're seeing.
3 with 4, 3 with 3, and these are all players who have a huge part of Wake Forest's offense. So if they can stay out of foul trouble in this last 6:15 of this game, then they have a chance. If not, they continue to get in foul trouble. Well, this is exactly why Florida State has the lead, because they've been living at the line. As a travel is going to be called, and the students are definitely going to let her know as well.
And there are different philosophies about how to close this game out with that foul trouble, to your point, Chris. But I do think you're within 2 possessions with 6 minutes left against a top 25 team. Let her rip.
Jewel Spear is going to need to let it rip right now. Only 7 points for her, the leading scorer on this team. Normally averages 15 points per game. So maybe we can see an explosion like we did in the Clemson game. Smart shot from Kaya Harrison as she stops on a dime and draws a foul.
beautiful little shot fake as she comes to a jump stop off 2. That's some athleticism I never had right there to have the balance.
And that is 5 fouls right now on KK Timpson, so that takes her out of the paint for Wake Forest. How does that benefit the Deacs?
Well, it's always good to not have to play against the KK Timpson. The problem is now they're staring straight at Valencia Myers. Erin Howard still has length, but yeah, it's obviously a good thing for the Deacons down the stretch.
ACC tournament is next week. Both teams trying to make sure that they look the best as possible heading into conference play over in Greensboro. Only a 30-minute drive for the Demon Deacs to head over there. Florida State, they're going to have to travel. They're going to have to go to Clemson next, go back to Tallahassee, then come back up to Greensboro.
It's a grind, but that's what you sign up to play college basketball for. They have a chance. If they can close this one out, they're trying to secure that 4 seed, and they may get a day off. They get a double bye, that they're going to do some shoot-around stuff, but that matters to these young women. They don't need a reason to play hard, but that just adds on to it.
Big-time defense for the Deacs. They get another stop. Jewel Spear calling for the ball. She wants it in this big-time moment. She lets it fly, but she misses, and that will be a foul, and I think that is it for Demira Hines. So she is now out of the game. 2 of the players who have the biggest post presence. Nia Becker comes in. She has 4 fouls, so now she has to be careful now that she's also in foul trouble.
They definitely do, but I think, having a puncher's chance here within the last 5 minutes, that all stemmed from Jewel Spear on the other side getting herself free for a shot. They're not going to not take that shot, and I could think Coach Jebbia will attest to the fact that you can only do what you can do with a limited roster. At some point, they're going to need to let him fly a little bit more. The defense is going well, but now Wake Forest needs to score a little bit. No field goals in the last 2 minutes and change in this game. Nia Becker fighting for position. She's been good in the second half, especially in the third quarter. Under 10 in the shot clock. Harrison goes left, and she puts it up. Can't quite get it to go. Erin Howard with the rebound. What a contest by the freshman tonight. Latson on-ball defense made that shot. Was going to be hard. Made it really, really difficult. Turnover for the Noles. Elise Williams going to take the open 3, and she gets it in. That pulls Wake Forest back within 2. Exactly what they needed at this moment, and Wyckoff takes a timeout. Fantastic. There's Elise stepping up with 15 huge points, and boy, the Deacs need all 15. That's right. We've talked all night about the progression of the sophomore, and I think we may be witnessing Elise becoming elite. If she adds this 3-point repertoire to her game, especially in transition, it's going to be really, really tough to stop the whole backcourt of the Demon Deacons. Some say it's because she has a 919 area code on her phone number, but the Seminoles go back up by 4. The Deacs had been doing a good job of stopping them on defense and trying to get closer to this game. Now they need to try to score a little bit more as Nia Becker flashes out. Look at that nice reverse right there. My goodness. Another instance where she used that kickstand. Left foot stays down, right foot can go anywhere it wants. Ball does too, right into the hoop. 2-point game. We talked about it earlier. She came out an hour before shoot-around this morning and got an extra hour of preparation in, and she must have known that she was going to be needed to step up in this big-time moment. So now both teams are starting to trade baskets. The Noles back up by 4. Yeah, Noles just going to the old well. They know they're bigger than anybody Wake Scott down low. If they can find a way to keep getting Myers touches, good things are going to keep happening. Elise Williams has the hot hand. We'll see if she has a little bit of a heat check. She's trying to find a hole to open up and operate in. Samuel with the turnaround. Doesn't roll her way. We're under 3 minutes left into this game. 58-54, exactly the pace Wake Forest wanted. A very different complexion than the first game in Tallahassee. Myers passes it out to Erin Howard. And that's going to be a foul called right there. Jewel Spear can't believe it. really impressed with the interior passing of the Noles. You got to feel like Myers wanted to go up with that. She's had several baskets lately. Had a pretty good look, but decided to share it with teammate Erin Howard, who got fouled.
That is now 4 fouls on Jules Spear. Becker and Harrison also have 4 fouls. Howard gets the first one to roll in. Noles up by 5.
Now, make or miss here, this is where I do think that Wake needs to press the accelerator just a bit on the offense. I'm not saying you don't want to reverse the ball one time, but take the first good look that you can get.
They are accelerating a little bit, but Becker can't quite handle it, but Florida State knocks it out of bounds. 2:16 left in this game, 59-54. Wake Forest kind of has them where they want them, but you would want more scoring from Jules Spear, who still only has 7 points.
Well, and there's 2 minutes left. That's money time. And she's been getting paid all year, so let's see what happens down the stretch here.
Elise Williams, she's been getting paid this game. Spear with the big-time rebound. She's fighting through, and that's going to be a tie-up. Sarah Bajetti still being that annoying gnat right there, along with Erin Howard. Boy, I love Bajetti's game.
Oh, you just have to. She's a winner. Coaches talk about it. She's a dog. She's whatever you want to call it. She's what you need to win. She may not bring. I mean, look at that stat: 6, 5, and 1 steal. But she's also the type. She's dangerous enough. She's had several 20-plus point games this year. The thing about Sarah Bajetti is the effort is never questioned. You know what you're getting from an intensity level. It was interesting talking to Coach Wyckoff this morning that she sets the tone in practice as well.
Looks like they're talking about this a little bit. Try to get some clarity as what they're discussing. But with Sarah Bajetti, we talked about it. Those offensive numbers don't tell the whole story. Her defense has been a huge difference. I mean, she's been holding Jules Spear cold.
Yeah, and that's so much easier said than done. It kind of sounds commonplace when we say it, Bajetti's doing it, but let's make no mistake, folks. This is a masterful defensive performance that Sarah Bajetti's putting on tonight. She just happens to do it almost night in and night out in this conference.
So the officials are discussing if Jules Spear actually has 5 fouls. So we'll see. What we have is 4 right here. And we'll see what happens after they confer right here at the scorers table. Two minutes on the dot left in this game. Florida State is up 59-54. Wake Forest looking for their first win over a top 25 ranked team. And if they can do that, along with senior night on Sunday, getting a win, heading to Greensboro, that's exactly where they want to be at for their confidence, but also just for momentum as they want to extend their season into the postseason.
Well, that's right. Headed into the postseason, and then even farther after that, we talk about the facilities here, the clubhouse, some of the outstanding recruits, a top 25 recruiting class coming in next year. Coach Jebby and staff want to build on that. Every win against a team like this only adds to that confidence.
What helped them out as far as their resume, they don't have a great March resume right now, but of course it'll be great if Wake Forest could try to sneak in. Florida State already has a great resume right now, sitting at number 17 on the net, ranked number 23 in the nation. And Ryan, you think that Florida State, with a few big wins, especially in the NCAA tournament, they could possibly be hosting in the first round in Tallahassee if they continue to win?
I really do. I think this is a team that's proven they can beat anybody on any given day. Now, that said, they can get blitzed as well. We watched Virginia Tech light them up from 3. But you see the talent at every position. They have no glaring weakness, right? They're elite at point guard. They're elite at defensive shooting guard. They've got bigs for days, and then they've got a couple tweeners that give you what you want. They can play at different speeds. They can win ugly. Obviously, they want to play fast and win resoundingly. But just a really impressive club, especially, we keep saying it, but Coach Wyckoff, new in her tenure there, kind of scary to think how good this conference is now, but with these young coaches, how good it's going to be in the next couple of years.
So the official scorers book has Jules Spear with 5 fouls. They figured out that is wrong. Right now, they're trying to figure out exactly where that went wrong. So They're trying to figure out where that extra foul came from. That's why we have a stoppage in play, which may be a good thing for head coach Megan Jebbia. She gets a little bit of extra time. This is an extra timeout that she can use for her team so they can get back and win this game in the last 2 minutes.
Well, you're right. This is the kind of thing you say, all right, if we're on offense here, where are they taking the ball out? Okay, I'm going to call a baseline out of bounds play. I'm going to pull our pressure up on defense, and then here's our next offensive possession. When you get extra little breaks in the game like this, you can really utilize them to your advantage to try to execute down the stretch. Last 2 minutes, it doesn't get any better than this.
If you're a player in this position, you've already played 38 minutes. Is this a good break for you, or would you rather keep going? Is this something where players can start to tighten up because there's all of a sudden a stoppage in play?
I mean, it depends on how long it was. They're going to look at the monitors for a little bit. Now, if all the lights in the Coliseum went off, we had to sit here for 40 minutes, that's different. I think these women probably, for right now at least, I think they are enjoying this little break. Hopefully they're getting their minds right, both sides, and really know what they need to do to execute the last couple minutes here.
If the season were to end right now, Wake Forest would be a 10 seed. That means that they would face Pittsburgh in the first round next week in Greensboro. That may set up favorably for them, because if they win, they'd go on to face North Carolina, and that's a team that they have beaten in the ACC tournament before. This group of players is definitely familiar with North Carolina, and they feel confident, especially after how they played them last week.
Well, absolutely, and it's always good. It doesn't matter what seed you are or who you play in a conference tournament. If you can get a win, you're just feeling good. Your program's feeling good about itself. You got motivation going into the next day and some momentum. But also, it improves their resume to possibly play postseason, maybe not NCAA, but there are a number of other tournaments they could do. And for first year for Coach Jeppy to be here, maybe play postseason, incredible.
So we thought that we were going to get back to some play, but now the coaches are meeting at half court. We're having a little conference call. We don't have social distancing anymore, so both coaches aren't on Zoom for each other. They can get close within 6 feet of each other and talk about what's happening. Now it looks like everything's settled. They're going to go back to their benches, and hopefully we'll start play up here in a little bit.
Demon Deacons have been outstanding all year long on getting open looks, baseline out of bounds. Let's see what they got here.
So we had a foul that was recorded to Hines and Jules Spear at the same time, which is exactly wrong. So now we've got everything together. We're straight. Hines has her foul. Jules Spear still in the game, but she has 4 fouls, something that they need to look out for the Demon Deacons, as Spear shoots it at the end of the shot clock, and she is fouled shooting a 3. She's going to go to the line.
And that's how crafty she is. On the step back, there's just a slight, let's watch her. Poetry in motion. She pulls that thing back, gets herself just enough space. The high closeout, she gets touched enough. And these free throws, it's not just taking 3 points off the lead possibly. It's giving your team another break and a chance to set up a different kind of defense if that's what Coach Jebbia wants.
Important for this time of the game, Jules Spear. Just misses that one. Could have been her 8th point of the game. Only 7 points for her so far, for a player that averages 15. Makes her second shot, pulls Wake Forest within 4. That's her 3rd of 3 is coming up. Sinks that one, normally an 85% free throw shooter, and she makes 66% of those there. Wake Forest within 3, 59-56, 135 left in the game. Myers has been getting open, and she extends the lead once again for Florida State.
A little surprised they didn't have Becker drop back in the ball screen coverage there.
Look at that. Becker right there for the rebound after Elise Williams misses on a 3. Wake Forest pulls back within 3.
Becker gets those 2 points right back. What an exciting ending we're going to have here.
Becker has earned herself some extra minutes in Greensboro next week, but before we get there, we have winning to do in Winston-Salem. 1 minute to go in this game. Sarah Bigetti inserting the pass, but that's a turnover. Becker comes up with it. Under a minute left in this game, 61-58.
Fantastic help side defense in the post that time by the Demon Deacons. Chance to tie it up here with a 3.
Season high for Becker, 12 points. As she's going straight to the cup, wants to add to that, but she passes out to Samuel. Samuel misses, but Jules Spear was pushed, so we're going to keep it right here. And Spear's going to go to the line to shoot a little bit, holding her finger a little bit right there. Hopefully that doesn't impact her as she's about to attempt these free throws.
Yeah, something tells me she's going to stay in the game and get these off, and I think she's going to make them. She's been here, done that so many times. You can't talk enough about the fight of the Demon Deacons to put themselves in position to possibly win this game.
She made her last 2, and there it is. She makes that one. Let's look at this replay right here. Bigetti literally just pushes Spear out of the way.
There's a difference between being aggressive and intensive and then being a little, out of bounds. But got away with one there.
That's Bigetti, and she toes that line a little bit, and she's smart. She's a senior. Wake Forest within 1. Under 30 seconds left in this game, 61-60. They need to stop right here. About a second difference between shot clock and the game clock. Do they foul right here?
They're trapping Latson, want it out of her hands.
Jules Spear doesn't need the foul right here. She has 4. Latson goes for it. She misses it. Look at that big rebound. Jebbia calls the timeout. 2.6 left in this game. Wake Forest has a chance to set up for the final shot and a chance to win this game.
You absolutely couldn't draw it up any better as far as having a chance. They strung Latson out for, it seemed like eternity. It was maybe, honestly, 10, 12 real seconds. She still turns the corner. Wake's there in help side, and guess who comes up with a monster rebound when they needed it most? Nia Becker has just been outstanding all night long.
Did Wake Forest make a mistake by not fouling earlier to give themselves more time? Because now you have to go the length of the floor for 2.6 left on the clock.
Honestly, I don't think that Wake made a mistake there because with 2.6, technically you've got 2 dribbles left. But if you find a woman running in motion, right, you hit her in rhythm, 2 dribbles would get you to that Houston spot that we talked about with Jules Spear can hit from there. An in-rhythm 3 from the Houston spot from Jules Spear here might equal a Wake Forest miracle win, and everybody in here goes absolutely bananas.
Boy, if that happens, that is some crazy momentum for Wake Forest. Also, if they win this game and the next game versus Boston College, they would finish with their best winning percentage ever at home. So that's something that Coach Jebbia wants to do. She wants to build on that, not only for this year, but for next year, for recruiting, showing what she can do for these recruits and showing that Wake Forest is a place where you can come and win.
So it's actually going to be side out in the half court.
It's good for Wake Forest.
A little tighter, but definitely closer to the rim. Better chance to get a good look off. 2.6 to make a miracle happen.
61-60. We'll see what Wake Forest has. Kaya Harrison inbounds the ball. Elise Williams trying to get some to go. Harrison at the buzzer. Misses it, and Florida State just escapes with the win. Wake Forest still standing around. They're looking for a foul or something, but Florida State just by the skin of their teeth survives 61-60, the number 23 team over Wake Forest. Wake Forest came